Welcome, my brothers, to the most complete Warhammer 40k Space Marine 2 guide on the internet. In this video, we'll dive into everything you need to know to play the game without frustration, such as game modes, unlocking gear, upgrading weapons, all of the classes, all of the weapons, maximizing your XP, and more. And remember, the Emperor provides and the Emperor protects. Now, let's get this thing started. The first thing you're going to want to understand in Space Marine 2 is the different game modes that this game has to offer. So what you'll be able to do is come to this station right here, interact with it, and you're going to be able to see 3 game modes: Operations, Campaign, Eternal War. Campaign is what I recommend you start with. This is the story experience. It's got amazing cutscenes, great voice acting, and I really recommend starting with this if you're someone that enjoys a good Warhammer story. And if you don't know if you like Warhammer stories, then you definitely should start with this and find out that you do love Warhammer 40k stories. Campaign is going to take you through about 10 hours of content. You can play through this solo, or you can group up with up to 2 other friends and run through it together in a party of 3. And the nice thing is, if your friends run through the entire thing with you, they get all the same achievements that you do when you're playing through your story. Now, we've got Operations. This is going to be the co-opable PvE mode. This is going to be where you spend most of your time once you've completed the campaign. So you come in here, and right now there's 6 different missions to choose from, with more on the way. When you were playing through the campaign on Titus, you were constantly in communications with other squads that were participating in the same mission as you, but they were in a different location with a different objective. Sometimes they were killing a big boss while you were doing something else. Well, Operations is what those squads were doing. In each one of these, you get to play the other team that you were in communications with during the campaign, and these are replayable. You play them over and over and over again. This is where you're going to level up all of your weapons. You're going to level up all of your classes, and you're going to unlock cosmetics. This is what we'll call the endgame PvE activity. Tons of fun. Then the third and final place over here is going to be Eternal War. Eternal War is the PvP mode. Similarly to Operations, you can hit quick match and get paired with somebody doing some of these somewhere, or you can choose specifically what you want to jump into: seize ground, capture and control, annihilation. And these are exactly what they sound like. If you're someone that prefers PvP content, then you can come in here and you can unlock things that way as well. All right, the first thing to be aware of is that when you're playing the game, you can open up the scoreboard at any time, and this is going to tell you a lot of important information. First of which is going to be your objective. So you can see there, it's pointing to the right, and if I look there, it's telling me that's where I'm trying to go. This screen is also telling you other important information, such as a mission description in the top left. We can see some other important information about our squad. It's telling me the names of all the people in the group, what their ultimate is, and what it does. Now, let's go over some essential items that you're going to be finding on each map. You'll see ammo caches like this one out. Anytime you see one of these, get in the habit of using it. And these you can use as many times as you want, unlike other forms of ammo in this game. So when you see the big box, that you can use as many times as you want. You'll find stims like this. These are going to be essential to keeping you and your party alive. Whoever picks it up can use it. And as of right now, there's really no way to hand it off to somebody else. So make sure the person that needs it picks it up. For an idea of how much a stim pack heals you on basic difficulty, I'm going to use it right now. And there we go. Gives you about 2 bars. When you do harder difficulty, it gives you 1 bar. And so it's going to become really important to manage your shield in this game, because anytime your shield is depleted, the enemies are picking away at your health. And when they're doing that, it's just a matter of time before you run out of it. We'll jump into shield management in just a moment here. When you're playing campaign in co-op, it is important to check in the side areas. You'll see these little paths off to the side that you can go, and you'll be able to find different weapons, sometimes a weapon upgrade or just an alternative weapon that's not necessarily better, but it's different. And you'll be able to find data slates like this. You can listen to those for extra lore on the mission and everything like that. And while the weapon upgrades and the ammo and the stim packs are awesome to find, the best thing that you can find off in these side areas is going to be your upgrade materials, so that you can upgrade your guns from gray to green to purple and then to gold, which is called relic. Now, you won't find the upgrade materials in the campaign, but you will find it in the Operations mode. This game features a couple of different types of forecasts. You've got the red forecast coming off of enemies. When you see an enemy turn red like that, that means you dodge that attack. And when you see it turn teal like this, that means that you can counter it. We hit the parry button, and what that does that's important is you see it gave us a bar of our armor back, which is crucial in the difficult versions of this game. So we'll do it to this guy here. And after you counter, you can also use your pistol to unload really good damage on enemies. That's going to be really helpful for executing the big ones. So we dodged his attack, which puts us into retaliate mode with our pistol. And that shot sent him into execute. So now we can walk up to him. And if my armor wasn't already full, I would get armor back for executing him. On the easier difficulties, they can give you up to 3 bars of armor. On the hardest difficulties, they'll give you 1 bar of armor when you kill the difficult mobs. There is no way to get health back except by using stim packs. Or when you're taking damage, you'll see some of the damage come in as a white health bar temporarily. If you melee enemies, you can recover the missing white health so long as you gain it back before it disappears. An easy way to get it back is to counter something. So we'll take a little bit of damage here. See that white health? Now if I melee, it comes back. And if we execute, it would bring it back as well. So if you're missing some health, you got a lot of white health in your health bar, make sure to throw in a couple melees to get that health back. If you're missing armor, make sure to execute a few things. Most characters will have a primary and a secondary weapon. So you'll have a primary, and then your secondary setup will be a pistol of some sort and a melee weapon of some sort. You'll also have grenades. You'll find different types of grenades in this game throughout the game. And depending on the type of grenade, you can hold a certain amount of them. So frag grenades, you can hold 3 of. Shot grenades, you can hold 2 of. Bombs, you can hold 1 of. Like in most first-person shooters, you can choose to hip fire and be a lot less accurate, or you can aim down sights for much better accuracy. And finally, you're going to have your ultimate. On PC, this is Q. You press that, I'll press it here, and some ability will go off. It depends on the class you are. If you're playing through the campaign, you don't get to choose your class at the moment. You're going to be playing through it as Titus. And Titus has this ability right here, which it says it's temporarily increasing our attacking potential and our durability. So we do more damage and we take less damage. You don't have to do anything special to get your ultimate to come back. It automatically comes back over time. However, there are some things you can do with certain classes to make it come back faster. Now, executing is important for a lot of reasons. It's going to give us our white health back like it did there. It's going to give us our armor back, and it's going to give us iframe. So the whole time we're in an execute animation, we are immune to damage, right? So it gives you a second to breathe as well. Plus, it just looks awesome. And the last thing to be aware of with combat is you can open up the menu. On PC, you press escape, and you can see the combos that your melee weapon has. So we've got a light combo of right click, right click, right click, right click, or we could do a heavy combo where we hold down the first one followed by 2 lights, or we could just do a heavy swing by simply holding it down once. So there is all kinds of variations here. Then you've got a distance stab. While evading or sprinting, you can press right click and it's going to do a distance stab. So each melee weapon is going to have its own set of combos that are going to behave differently. Now, when you decide to do operations, you're going to get to choose your class. You get to choose between tactical, assault, Vanguard, Bulwark, Sniper, and Heavy. And each of these classes plays very differently, and each of them is balanced very differently. Some of them are better than others, or at least easier than others, especially right now at the game's launch. And I'm sure there's going to be some balancing and stuff that goes on to help buff the ones that are underperforming. Like in this current version of the game, Assault feels like it is by far the weakest of the bunch, whereas Vanguard, Sniper, and Heavy feel like they are incredibly strong. And my brothers, if you are enjoying this video, please consider liking, subscribing, or leaving a comment. The Emperor will be most satisfied with you if you do. The Heavy is going to be able to use heavy weapons that don't need to be reloaded. So your primary weapon here, you get to shoot it until it's out of ammo. You're not reloading. It's big, slow hits, and it feels amazing. Anytime you see Melta in the name of an item, that thing is insanely powerful. Whether it's a multi-Melta or whether it's a Melta rifle, they basically perform like a shotgun, and I highly recommend them. I would say that in this version of the game, these are the strongest weapons in the game for most content. So that's going to be your primary. If we click on the primary, you can see all of the weapons that we can choose from. This class gets to choose from 3 weapons. The Heavy's ultimate is going to create Iron Halo. It creates a powerful barrier that blocks all range damage. So if things are far away and there's a lot of them shooting at you, you're running around with heavy weapons that don't have a lot of range to them. So this can help you close the gap on those enemies. And it can protect your allies as well. And then here it tells us our armor class. We start with 3 bars of armor. That's what that's saying. Some classes, like the Sniper, only starts with 2 bars of armor. We get a primary, a secondary, and, they don't get to use a melee weapon, but what they can do is they can swing their heavy weapon around like it's a melee weapon. And it's effective enough. I wouldn't say it's quite as effective as having a melee weapon is for melee combat, but most of the time you won't need to melee things when you're on this class because you're going to be melting equipping them with your primary weapon. Next up is the sniper, which is one of my favorite classes in the game. But first, imagine if you could take command of over 2,500 tanks, planes, helicopters, and ships of 10 major nations. Everything from biplanes and armored cars of the 1920s to fighter jets and battle tanks of today. Well, you can in the sponsor of today's video, War Thunder. Immerse yourself in the intense combat of War Thunder, where incredibly detailed vehicles, realistic graphics, and authentic sound effects place you right in the helm of the most powerful war machines of our time. Join 70 million players in epic PvP battles with an unmatched wealth of high-quality content to discover. War Thunder has one of the most sophisticated vehicle damage models in gaming. Every vehicle is intricately modeled down to its individual components like engine, fuel tanks, weapons, and crew, all susceptible to damage and disabling from enemy fire. If your vehicle or an enemy's is destroyed, War Thunder shows you exactly what happened. In X-ray view, you'll see precisely where the shell penetrated, which components were affected, and what ultimately led to the destruction of that vehicle. War Thunder also features a deep customization system with countless camouflages, historical markings, and decorations for all types of vehicles. And don't worry, this game is heavily optimized to run amazingly, even on lower end machines. But the best part is, you can play War Thunder for free right now on PC, PlayStation, and Xbox. Be sure to use my link, because new and returning players that haven't played in the last 6 months will get a massive bonus pack, including multiple premium vehicles and the exclusive vehicle decorator Eagle of Valor. So click that link and I'll see you on the battlefield. Thanks for listening. Now let's get back to the video. Then you've got your sniper here. They've got a few different rifles they can choose between. Then they've got their secondary weapon and their melee weapon, a nice little knife. Snipers excel at high single target damage, but they're going to be weak whenever it comes to fighting lots of enemies in close quarters. But they have their ultimate for that. They can go invisible with camo cloak for a few seconds at least. So your job in the group is going to be to focus down elites and put them into the execute state so that your frontline allies can execute them and finish them off. Then you've got the Bulwark. This is the one that carries a shield. It's the only one that carries a shield. They've got a sword in the main hand, but you can swap that out for a power fist or a chain sword. All of these are great and good fun to use. Power fist does great damage, but it doesn't quite have the range and the reach that the chain sword and the regular sword are going to have. Now, the Bulwark gets a secondary and a melee weapon, but they don't get a primary weapon. So just a heads up there. Bulwark will be the class you pick if you feel like your group needs more survivability and more defense, but they're going to give up some offense in doing so. The Bulwark's ultimate can restore the armor for everybody in the group if they're close enough, and it can also buff their damage output as well if you take the right perks. So as the Bulwark, you should probably be expecting to help out a lot more defensively and to be buffing your group than you will be helping out offensively. And then you have the Vanguard. The Vanguard is a nice, well-rounded one. If you want to do a ton of damage and be really mobile, Vanguard is one of my favorite classes in the game right now. I think if I had to choose a favorite right now, it's going to fall between Vanguard and Heavy, with Sniper being right behind them. For your ultimate on the Vanguard, you've got Grapnel Launcher. Now, this is a grapple hook that you shoot out and then sling yourself into an enemy. This is a fantastic ability for multiple reasons. One of which is you can use it to gap close on enemies and kill them at the same time, or interrupt them. So enemies will get this symbol above their head and you'll have to interrupt them before it finishes filling up because they are calling reinforcements. And if you don't interrupt them, those reinforcements will come, and on harder difficulty co-op missions, that can be the difference between succeeding and failing a mission. You know, if nothing else, it makes it take a lot longer when the reinforcements have to come than if not. And you don't get any extra credit for killing more enemies. So that alone makes this an incredibly valuable ultimate, and it just feels good to move around the map like that. Then you've got Assault. Probably the main reason you would play this is to use the Thunder Hammer. This weapon is a lot of fun. It really is. Alternatively, you could go with the fist weapon or the chain sword. But, you know, if you're on this guy, the Thunder weapon is a lot of fun. So is the jump pack when it's working. So in the pre-release version of the game that I'm playing, you know, just a few days before its launch here, the jump pack works fantastically in the campaign, but then in the co-op missions, it's not working great. So there's some kind of bug there. We'll see if that gets fixed before the launch of the game. I'm not sure yet. I guess we'll find out on day one if there's a big day one patch that fixes this. Otherwise, if you're playing Assault class and you notice that jump pack isn't super responsive, it's not firing when you want it to and all this stuff, it's not you, it's the game. There's a problem with it. at the moment. Then you've got your secondary. You got a couple different secondaries that you can choose between. You can either go for the heavy bolt pistol or the bolt pistol. And then finally, we've got tactical. This is your jack of all, master of none. He is just kind of your standard soldier. He's got tons of rifles that he can choose from. He's got a sidearm that he can use, and then he can use a chainsword. His ultimate is Auspex Scan. So this reveals enemies in the selected area and makes them more vulnerable. So you're basically weakening the enemies, which is really nice. And your armor class 3, so you start with 3 bars of armor, and you're just a good all-around character. You've got a great melee weapon in the chainsword. You've got solid options here for your ranged weapons, one of which is the melter rifle. Like, as I mentioned, this is a fun weapon. Give it a try, promise. The plasma incinerator is also a fantastic weapon. However, it was nerfed from the last playtest till now, so it's not quite as good as it used to be, but it is a lot of fun. I definitely recommend giving it a try. In fact, give all of these a try, of course, but my personal favorite is the melta. This one I really like for the hard-hitting nature of you can charge up plasma weapons. So anytime you see a plasma weapon, you can long press your attack to do a charged attack, and it consumes more ammo, but it does more damage. Very nice. So those are the classes. The biggest difference between them is the weapon selection that is available to you, and then your ultimate. Although your ultimate is not going to be nearly as noticeable as your weapon selection because you don't use it nearly as often as you use your weapon in this game. All right, now we've got the classes out of the way. Let's talk about the weapons and how you are going to progress through the various weapons in the game. So the important thing to know is you can level up and unlock new weapons. So the way you do that is by having the weapon equipped while you run multiplayer missions or multiplayer content. You run through that and you're going to see this bar fill up. And eventually you'll fill up the first bar. And once you do, you'll be able to spend a green core, this currency here, that you unlock in the first 2 difficulties. And you'll just be able to unlock it by long pressing this bar at the top here. You can see over here, this one's not. If we hover over it, it tells us we need a gold core and we need experience before we can unlock this. So you'll unlock this, then you'll hover over these and decide which one you want. Each one of these master crafted weapons has its own set of pros and cons to it. So if we look at this one here, it says strength's going to go up by 1, and this one strength's going to go down by 1, but the speed's up by 2, and then this one strength's up by 3, but the speed's down by 1, and our block's down. So they've all got their own strengths and weaknesses, and sometimes they'll just have a smaller strength and no weakness, right? So hover over them, pick the one that's for you, and then you can unlock it and equip it. And now while that weapon is equipped, you'll start earning XP in this one, and you'll start filling it up. And once it's full, you unlock artificer grade weapons, and it works the same way. And here you can see this artificer weapon is 60% mastered. It says mastery 1655 out of 2600. What that means is when that fills up, I get a mastery point. So every time you master a weapon, you get a mastery point that you can spend in your perk tree. To master a weapon, all you have to do is have it equipped when you're killing things. So that's what this other tree is here. And this is another set of passives specifically for that weapon. And you can start on the top or the bottom, and you can work your way through it to all of these things here. And so the reason you would level more than one master crafted weapon, right? Because technically you're only going to use one of these. One of these is your favorite version, right? The one that does more damage or the one that attacks faster is your favorite version, but you're going to master all of them so that you get 3 mastery points that you can spend in your perk tree instead of just 1 on your way to artificer, right? And then at artificer, you're going to unlock and level all 4 of these so that you can get 4 points to further put in this tree. And eventually you'll get to relic. As you're using these weapons, this is just going to be filling the whole time anyway. And these fill really fast. These fill a lot faster than this bar does. So it's real easy to just kind of max one out, buy the next one, get the mastery on that filled up, buy the next one, get the mastery of that filled up. It's real easy to earn more. I just run some more missions. It's in here that you can also change the appearance of the weapon. So this weapon could look like it looks now, or I can make it look like this, or like this, or like this. I don't have this unlocked yet, but when I eventually get the relic version of the weapon, I'll be able to slot this cosmetic instead. So that is the weapon upgrade system. It works the same for every single weapon. You're leveling up each weapon specifically to get the mastery points to spend in the perk tree. While you're doing that, you're leveling that version of the weapon for standard. Then you're going to level up your master crafted experience from using master crafted weapons. And then that eventually unlocks artificer by using artificer, and then using these artificer weapons and getting their mastery points will fill this up, and you'll be able to unlock relic. It's really straightforward, really simple once you get the hang of it. And just don't forget to use your perk tree here. Once you get those mastery points, come in here and unlock the perks that look the most desirable to you. Each weapon has its own perk tree and progression system. So some classes do share overlapping weapons, like multiple classes use the bolt pistol. So upgrading the bolt pistol on this class right? I've got it this far here. If we go to another class and we look at their bolt pistol, it's also progressed that far. So that weapon's progress is account wide. If you level it up on one class, all your classes benefit from it. But not all classes can use the bolt pistol. So if you will level up a weapon like the multi-meta, the only class that can use this is the heavy. So he's the only one that's going to benefit from leveling that up, which I'm totally okay with because this is my favorite weapon in the game right now. So that's just something to be aware of. If you are someone that knows you're going to want to be playing lots of different classes, you may choose to level up items that lots of classes wear. Like a lot of classes can wear the chainsword, a lot of classes can wear the bolt pistol. And then as far as primary weapons go, you know, there's some overlap there as well that you may want to take advantage of. Now let's quickly talk about the different currency types in this game because you're going to need all of these to participate in this progression path, right? You need the green to get Mastercrafted unlocked. You need the pink to get Artificer unlocked, and you need the gold to get Relic. But where do you get these? Well, that's where Operations comes in. Now you can either quick match with random people, or you can just choose the mission to do if you want to do a specific one. And you could click on this and that's going to set that mission up. Boom. I just walk into that and I'm in that mission now. I'm going to cancel that because there's something else important that you can do here. At the top, you can change the threat level. So here's the first two difficulties, minimal and average. This is where you're going to get the green cores to upgrade your weapons. And then substantial, the third one, this is where you get the purple or pink cores. And then finally, you have ruthless. This is where you get the gold cores for the final upgrades. And it says recommended level down there, 1, 5, 10, 15. What I will say is that is only a recommendation. You can absolutely do it much sooner than it says if you've got the right loadouts, if you've got the right weapon, and you've got 3 humans playing. If you've got NPCs on your team, you don't have real people, then it's definitely harder than it is when you have real people on your team because human players just tend to be better. And also they tend to use the more OP weapons in the game, like the Melta rifles, right? The things that currently perform just a bit better than the other things. So don't be shy about grouping with random people to knock these out faster. And the best way to farm upgrade materials is to do Inferno, the first mission. Now, if we hover over this, it tells us you get 1260 XP, 95 credits, and a discoverable armory data, right? That's our pink core thing that we can use to upgrade. If we change the difficulty to the first one here, you only get 630 XP, right? So less than half, you only get 35 credits and you only get a green armory data. So that's why, since the difficulty doesn't go up that much, I would definitely do the hardest one that you comfortably can to get more XP. At the very least, do average so that you're getting 945 XP, 55 credits, and that green armory data. And then as soon as you're able, go ahead and do the next tier up. Now, you can skip the green armory data. You can go to higher difficulties and just go straight to the pink ones and use those to buy the green items. Just a heads up. Now, the first mission called Inferno is by far the fastest one to farm for experience and for upgrade materials. And you can get 2 armory datas in here, 1 found on the ground, 1 from a boss that can spawn somewhere in the route in the map. And also you can get the Gene Seedling, which gives you extra XP on top of the XP you're getting. So your character levels up faster, unlocks more passives faster. So if you ever get into the mindset of, okay, I've run all of them once or twice, I'm ready to progress as fast as possible, Inferno is where you want to go. Run this over and over. It's the fastest. And don't be shy about skipping enemies on your way through because you do not get extra XP for killing everything. You get this amount of XP that's on screen right now, no matter what. You get a little tiny bonuses, like 10-point bonuses for doing the best in your group at a certain task. At the end, you'll get a screen that says, oh, you get 10 extra points because you did the most range damage, and you got 10 extra points because you did the most melee damage. But that's literally pennies in the couch cushion. So you and your group should be more than willing to run by. If an objective comes up for you to run to it. You don't have to 100% clear the map every time. It's really important to know that because the Tyrannid is an unrelenting swarm of enemies. They're not all important to kill. Just think of them like cockroaches. Now, when you're on the ship, there's basically 3 locations for you. You've got the data slate depository, which is keeping track of all the data slates that you found. When you're running through these maps, you'll find these tucked into all these various corners, and eventually you'll catch them all. It tells you your progress at the top, and it tells you which ones you have and which ones you are missing. So you go and run that mission again until you find all of them. if you're someone that is a completionist and really likes the lore, which I am absolutely going to be doing in this game. And the other two options are the launch bay and the armoring hall. Now, the great thing about this menu is it takes you right to those locations. So these are physically in your ship. You can manually run from one to the other. That's the weapon upgrade area and the class selecting area, and your loadout, customizing and all of that. And then you've got your ship here. And this is where you choose the mission you're going to do. Alternatively, you could just open up this menu by pressing tab on PC, and you could just choose to be at the other place and you don't have to run back and forth. Really nice. Saves you a lot of time. The launch bay is this thing right here. This is where you choose the mission you're going to run, whether it's campaign or eternal war, which is PvP, or the operations, the co-op ones. Now let's look at the screen right here, because there's a lot of important information on here that you are going to want to be aware of, right? So at the top right, we've got the upgrade material counts. I have 0 of the green, 10 of the purple, and 0 of the gold at the moment. I've got 80 credits. And here we've got the 3 areas of the base that you can teleport to. And then below that, you've got the characters in your group. So if you have friends join you, their stuff will appear here. And this is your class in the top left, your level, your name, your ping. So if you're the host, you'll have single digit ping like this. And then if your friends are connecting to you, they will have a much more normal ping of, 50, 60, whatever. And then here you've got your ultimate that you're using and a description of what that ultimate does. Okay, now what if you want to play with friends? How do you do that? So when you're in the hub, standing around like this, you'll notice in the top right, it says edit squad. So you can do that, press that button, and then you can move to these different sections here using your arrow keys on PC, and on console, you're just going to use your joysticks. So you can pick what you want to go to. So we want to add a player. We can click the plus sign here, and then a menu will come up allowing you to add your friends. This menu was working earlier today. It's not working now. It's probably down for maintenance before the game launches. Normally, a list of my Steam friends would pop up right there, and I'd be able to invite them to my group.
I gotta get some fucking friends.
Alternatively, if you have someone that's not in your Steam's friends list and you just want to invite them, see the key in the top right, select that, and it tells you what your invite code is for this game. So you could give your friend this code, B3HJC, and they enter that in, and boom, it'll throw them into your current session. Alternatively, if they gave you their code, you could type it right here and join their game. Really easy, really intuitive stuff. You can do all of the content in this game with your friends, whether it's the campaign, whether it's the co-op missions, or the PvP, right? The whole game can be played with your friends. I love that. All right, brothers, now let's talk about cosmetic customization, because it is important that we look good for the Emperor. So in here, when you're choosing your class, at the bottom, you'll see edit armor, and you'll get a list of armor sets that you have unlocked. And if you haven't unlocked it, it'll say, hey, to unlock this one. So right now we can have this one, but if I want this one, I hover over it. It says, in order to get this, all you have to do is achieve 14 missions in operations mode or matches in Eternal War. So either do co-op PvE missions or PvP missions, and you win 14 of those and you get this unlocked. How cool is that? And then the next one right here, it adds a little more drip to it, right? It adds a little more fancy to it. And this one says we need 21 missions. And this one here, it looks a little more epic still, and we need 28 missions. So these are very doable. And then finally here, 35 missions to look like a complete badass. And you'll notice it's not locked behind a cash shop. There's no money that you have to pay, right? You just play the game and you unlock these really cool cosmetics for each class. And every class works the same way. Then down here, you can do a custom armor set. So we could make a new armor set where rather than wearing one whole outfit, we can mix and match parts from the different outfits. So we could say, hey, for my helmet, I want the green eyes. And then for my shoulder, I want this badass shoulder right here. Oh, I don't have this one yet. I need 15 missions, right? So in the meantime, we'll put this one on. And the chest plate, I can come in here and pick a custom chest plate like that. And there we go. So now we look a little bit different, right? Still, you can customize it more. So if we click on Astartes chapters, now you can change the color scheme of your outfit. Or if you're like me, you're definitely going to want to customize it your own. So you click on your custom loadout right here, and you can manually select colors. Let's say we wanted to change this outfit to black, right? Get a different look going. So we could do that here, and we could customize it. We could pick any one of these colors. Now you'll notice some have locks on them. So all you have to do is long press on one that has a lock. Let's say, what color would we maybe want to unlock here? Let's say we wanted to unlock this Nuln oil. It's like a darker black. We long press on it, and then there it is right there. And to unlock it, we just have to grab this one. And this one here is 40. So we Boom. Now I have that color and I can use that color. So I can go from Abaddon black and I can instead go to Nuln Oil. So if you want the blackest black in the game, there it is, Nuln Oil. That's the blackest black in the game. Looks good, man. Looks good. Except that shoulder is all wrong, right? So let's fix that. Let's go here. Boom. There we go. And if you want to customize individual pieces of this, I guess there we go. We got to fix that helmet too, right? Now, if you want to customize individual pieces, let's say you wanted one leg to be one color and one to be the other color. You could add customizer right here. And you could say, okay, I want to do this leg and I want to make it orange. And then I want to do the other leg. And I want to make that leg blue, right? And you could do that if you want. Now, I'm going to fix this because the Emperor would not be pleased at all with this look. I have a feeling he would be very upset with me. So we're going to go ahead and change that back. Or better yet, I could just delete this rule, right? Because I'm not going to want to do my legs individually in this case. And there we go. Now, whenever I change these colors at the top here, it'll do everything that doesn't have a specific rule underneath it. Every class that you level up unlocks its own cosmetics. So you're going to get to set them all up individually. So Vanguard looks like this right now. Assault looks like this. Tactical looks like this, right? Bulwark, Sniper, Heavy. So you get to pick all of them individually. I'm sure that more cosmetics will be added to the game, both unlockable and DLC versions of cosmetics, as well as right now, I don't see any cash shop in the game. So hopefully that stays. I love that we can play the game to unlock cosmetics. That's pretty fun. All right, next, let's go over some really important settings that you should absolutely consider changing. So under game, we've got helmet visibility. This is going to determine whether your helmet is on or off in the campaign. So if you want to see your character's face, you want to see those facial emotions when he's speaking to people and all of that, turn it off. And if it's bugging you that he's dropping a biological bomb with no helmet on, you can turn that sucker on. So it's a little more immersive. Totally up to you. Also, I'd recommend going to controls. Now, the developers made an amazing game, but they made one incredibly questionable decision. And that was the default binding for primary weapon was 2 and secondary weapon was 1.
What the hell is even that?
And so change this. If you're anything like, I suspect most people, you're going to want primary weapon to be 1 and you're going to want secondary weapon to be 2, just like the Emperor willed it. Also, a really good one to change is going to be use equipment. By default, this is G. And if you're like me in the heat of battle, occasionally when reaching for G, you're going to hit F. But F is your Medicae stims. Now, Medicae stims are incredibly important, especially in the more difficult content. And you don't want to be fat fingering these and accidentally using them. So if you want to prevent that, or if you find yourself fat fingering your Medicae stims, move it to 4 or anything that's not right next to your heal. So in the heat of battle, you reach up for 4. And if you miss it, you're not accidentally using your Medicae stims. Okay. If we scroll down just a little bit farther, sprint activation, you can have it on hold or toggle, whatever you're used to. I have too many years of experience with holding sprint to sprint. So whenever I have it on toggle, I end up turning it off and on accidentally. And then if we go over to interface, there's some nice interface options here. The HUD preset. And then finally, under accessibility, we've got automatic attention focus. If you don't want to have to manually press T to look at the big important thing that's happening, you can turn this on and it will grab your camera and put it there automatically for you. You do want to see these events. So if you don't turn this on, make sure you press T to see what's happening when it says to, because it's usually something really cool, really cinematic. Definitely worth watching. And lastly, under video, if you're running an NVIDIA card, make sure you update your drivers, because if you don't, the game probably won't run really well. You need the latest version of your drivers in order to see the DLSS option. And with this, the game runs really smooth. I had a friend that didn't have the latest drivers and he had a 4090 and the game was not running well. It was running horribly. So he updated his NVIDIA drivers, the DLSS option appeared, and the game ran great. So just a heads up to all of you people running NVIDIA cards, make sure to update your driver software. Also, if you're not a monster, make sure to turn motion blur off. Another thing to be aware of is when you die in a public match, you'll get a mortal wound. So on the easier modes, you can die twice before getting a mortal wound. And on the harder ones, you can die once before getting a mortal wound. And then if you die again with the mortal wound, you can't be rezzed. You'll have to respawn and you'll get a 1-minute timer. So this prevents you from just dying over and over and being rezzed by your allies over and over. However, there's a way to remove a mortal wound if you get it. So if you get a mortal wound, you can heal yourself to full and that will remove the mortal wound debuff from your character. But healing yourself to full in the difficult versions of the game is pretty difficult because a health pack is only going to give you 1 out of 4 bars of health. So You would take a lot of health packs to get your health topped off again if it dropped low after you got a mortal wound. Another thing to be aware of is you'll see boxes and containers and barrels and things like that all over the map. And most of them you can't touch, you can't hurt, you can't break them. They're just decorative. However, when you see stacks of boxes that look like this, these you can dodge through. So press your dodge button and you'll leap through them and it'll break them. And there's very often very important items in here, whether it's stim packs or ammo or armor. In the difficult modes of this game, these are essential to your survival and to your success. So what class are you going to play? And if your answer is I'm not sure yet, then definitely check out my class tier list linked in the description of this video. If you've got a friend that's going to play this game, make sure you share this video with them to help them get started. All right, brothers, I think that's absolutely everything you could want to know about Warhammer 40k Space Marine 2. And remember, blessed is the mind too small for doubt. The Emperor protects and the Emperor provides. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Be sure to leave a comment and extra points if you RP as a Space Marine while doing so. Again, thank you to War Thunder for sponsoring this video. Don't forget to play it for free on PC, PlayStation, and Xbox right now by using my link in the pinned comment or the video description. New and returning players that haven't played in 6 months will also receive a massive bonus pack across all platforms, including multiple premium vehicles and other rewards. Available for a limited time only, so make sure not to miss it. Massive shout out to my channel members. Thank you guys so much for supporting the channel in the big way you do. If you want to become a channel member for behind the scenes footage and access to a private Discord channel where you can ask me anything about any game, click the join button below or click the link in the description. I'll post links to my other Space Marine 2 guides in the description of this video as I release them. So be sure to check there for more guides if you enjoyed this. And thanks so much for watching, brothers, and may the Emperor bless you. I'll see you in the next one.